What's up, guys? It's Chris here to talk about all these boxing matches going down this weekend. Probably going to keep it brief, although I always say that and it ends up going longer than I anticipate. But I'm feeling a little bit under the weather, so I probably will keep it brief. Plus, as usual, I talked about these fights yesterday on the Science Minds radio show. Big weekend of fights, we normally don't get this many fights this time of the year, a couple days after Thanksgiving, but I'm glad we are. Both Showtime and HBO are going to be running shows kind of head-to-head. This month has already had some great boxing. We had Lopez Marquez first weekend, Pacquiao Margarito, of course, and this past weekend we were fortunate to see the rematch between Sergio Martinez and Paul Williams. So, big Saturday night loaded with a bunch of fights. So November has definitely lived up to the expectations I think that boxing fans had for this month when we saw all the fights that were scheduled. And thus far, it's definitely lived up to it. So great month for fight fans. I'm going to talk about the HBO card first because that's one I'll probably watch it first. First fight of the night, Celestino Caballero taking on Jason Lettau, the American boy. Caballero coming off a win over a unanimous decision win over Dal Jordan, pretty much dominated that fight. Lettau coming off a technical decision win, I believe it was, over Rocky Wars, where there was a cut and the fight was stopped. Kind of a sketchy win. But Lettau, he made his name on ESPN2, exciting fights. But I don't want to disrespect the guy, but I think he's more an ESPN2 level fighter. I think Caballero is the much better fighter here. I think Caballero is, height-wise, about the same, but Caballero's got a really big work rate. Lettau isn't too durable, He puts on some exciting fights, but he just isn't that durable. And I think Caballero is going to just overwhelm him. I'll be surprised if Lettau really has much success in this fight. In all honesty, I see a pretty one-sided fight. But I see Caballero winning by mid-round stoppage. And if he wins in impressive fashion, hopefully we can finally see him fight Juan Manuel Lopez or Yuri Gamboa if those guys don't fight each other next. Next up, got Andre Berto taking on Freddie Hernandez, I believe it is. Berto coming off a win over Carlos Quintana. Hernandez coming off a win over Mighty Mike Achondo, or not so Mighty Mike. Mighty Mike he is past his prime, even as a young fighter. Plus, he shouldn't have been up for that fight at 147. He just was undersized against Hernandez. I didn't mean to yawn, but maybe I should. I don't expect much from this fight. I said on the radio show, there's a few boxers I never bet against or pick against. Floyd Mayweather, Manny Pacquiao, the Klitschko brothers, because they win all pretty dominantly, and the other is Andre Berto, because Andre Berto, at least as of late, is not going to be matched up against guys that you think have a legitimate chance of beating him, and I think that's the case here as well. I'm not really looking forward to this bout at all. I think Andre Berto's going to win. I think he's got too much speed, and he's just a much better fighter than Hernandez. No disrespect to Hernandez, but I think Berto's on another level. Should look impressive here. Berto usually has entertaining fights for the most part, except for that fight with Urango. But for the most part, he puts on exciting performances. But after he gets a win here, I just like to see him fight a more competitive fight against a bigger name or against someone that people will think actually has a chance of beating him. So I'll go with Berto here by decision. Main event: Juan Manuel Marquez taking on Michael Katsidis. Marquez defending his lightweight titles, coming off the win over Juan Diaz, the rematch. Michael Katsidis coming off an impressive knockout win over England's Kevin Mitchell. This fight, people thought it was going to be canceled. Unfortunately for Michael Katsidis, his brother died earlier this month. A lot of people were worried that the fight, he might not go through with it, but credit to Katsidis, he's still going to go through with the fight, said he's going to dedicate to his brother, so sure he'll be fighting inspired, but also with a heavy heart. As for Juan Manuel Marquez, looked impressive in the Juan Diaz rematch. No surprise there. Thing is, Marquez, better fighter, goes without saying, I believe. Definitely the better technical fighter, much sharper, better defensive fighter as well. However, he's getting up there in age. He's had a lot of ring wars. Not exactly a young man anymore. I'm sure he clearly won the Juan Diaz rematch, but I think if Katsidis is able to put the pressure on him and make it a really physical fight, he could have some success here. If he makes it a war, it's easy to say that. Juan Manuel Marquez, is the kind of fighter that stylistically this fight should definitely favor him. With his sharp technique and counterpunching, he should be able to slice up Michael Katsidis and pick him apart. However, if Katsidis can get in the inside, go to the body, make it a rough fight, kind of get some clinches going on and stuff, make it a more physical bout, he could have his moments, especially down the stretch. I think Marquez, as you get older, I think your cardio kind of wears out, especially if you're in a tough fight. I think Katsidis, like I said, can make this a tough fight. That said, gotta favor Juan Manuel Marquez. Just a much better fighter. Like I said, the only thing I really see a problem with the Marquez in this bout is age. Ring age, more so than actual age, although that could play a factor as well. But I don't think it's time for Marquez to go down just yet. I think he'll be able to exploit Katsidis' aggressiveness for the most part. I don't think there'll be a stoppage. Although Katsidis cuts up pretty good, I think Marquez can cut him, but I don't think he's going to stop him on cuts. I think it'll be an exciting bout, probably one of the two most exciting bouts of the weekend, but definitely going to favor Juan Manuel Marquez to win this by decision. On to the Showtime card. A couple of bouts that I want to say they have Super 6 implications, but the first one doesn't. That being Andre Ward against Saki Obika. Andre Ward was originally scheduled to face Andre Durrell, but as we all saw on the Fight Camp 360, Andre Durrell has a yet to be diagnosed that I know of health condition after the Abraham fight. I don't think anyone actually believed that fight was ever going to happen. There was just delays on it, and I don't think anyone really thought it was going to happen, especially Andre Durrell. Ward's coming off that win in the Super 6. The last fight just humiliated Alan Green. Not the most exciting fight, but Ward absolutely dominated. He's been dominating this tournament thus far, dominating Mikhail Kessler and Alan Green. Saki Obika's coming off the first round qualification loss to John Paul Mendy. I believe he hit him when he was down. I think that was on the undercard. I want to say it was on the undercard of one of these bouts. So this year, pay-per-view bouts. I don't remember the exact one, but I guess considering the options out there, Biko is probably about the best fight you can get. Now this isn't a Super 6 bout. It's more of a stay busy bout for Andre Ward. I mean, I guess because the date was already slated, he didn't want to wait around. The fight is taking place in Oakland, so I expect him to have the home crowd advantage like he always does. He always fights in Oakland lately. Plus, I mean, let's be honest, Andre Ward's just a better fighter than Saki Obika. Saki Obika is kind of got a rude, rudimentary style. Very physical, but definitely not a Floyd Mayweather when it comes to technique-wise. Andre Ward, on the other hand, sharp technique, very fast fighter, quick hands. Kind of I don't want to say safety first fighter, but he does fight very defensively as well. Defensively, at times, do a lot of tying up inside. I don't know how much you want to do that here, though. Bika's a much stronger guy, I think, a much more physical guy. So I think Ward will just use his speed, keep this fight at the distance. I think in the middle of the ring, you can really pick Bika apart with combinations to the head and the body. Honestly, I don't see Bika having too much success here in this fight at all. I think it's a pretty clear-cut win for Andre Ward by unanimous decision. I mean, not a whole lot to say about it. This is another bout I'm not really too looking forward to. On to the main event, a fight that is part of the Super 6. Carl the Cobra Froch, taking on King Arthur Abraham. Probably one of the most anticipated bouts of this tournament thus far, if not. Froch coming off that unanimous decision loss to Kessler, which was probably the best bout of the tournament thus far. Abraham coming off that DQ loss to Andre Durrell, where he was getting schooled the first 10, 11 rounds of that fight. Started coming on late, but unfortunately, as we all know, he dropped Durrell and hit him when he was down. Got DQ'd. So who knows how that fight would have ended if it didn't end that way. That said, this bout, I am looking forward to it. Stylistic, I think this is a great matchup. Two guys that are kind of rugged, not afraid to get hit. These aren't guys like Ward. They're like defensive cuties, so to speak. These guys are going to go in there and brawl it out, I think. I don't think we're going to see much of a technical fight. I mean, Carl Froch, just another guy who's not going to be mistaken for being any one of the master tacticians or technicians in the game. Like I was saying on the radio show yesterday, he has a style. You look at Carl Froch fight and you kind of think stylistically, you're like, how does this guy have such a great record? Former champion, but he applies his style successfully. It's been successful for him up to this point. As for Arthur Abraham, he looked good in the Jermaine Taylor fight. Obviously, Andre Durrell's speed and movement gave him a ton of problems. A lot of problems. But he's not going to have those problems fighting Carl Froch in this fight. I think Carl Froch's going to be right in front of him. Froch is a little bit more active with the work rate. Abraham, as we know, likes to kind of put that high guard up. Usually go to work the last minute, 30 seconds of a round. It's going to be interesting to see who's the bigger hitter in this punch, or who's the bigger hitter in this fight, and who can take the better punch. Froch is a naturally bigger man. I think Abraham probably has more power, but I don't know. I want to see when each guy gets hit cleanly, who is more susceptible to getting hurt. I think maybe Froch. I think he got hurt by Kessler. I think Abraham probably hits a little bit harder than Kessler, although I can't be for sure on that, but I think so. Abraham's never really showed a weak chin. He's always showed a solid, sturdy chin. So I don't really see him getting stopped or anything, but I do think he can get hurt in this fight as well. I think it's going to be a war fight, back and forth. I think it's going to be a pretty close fight, in all honesty. I do envision it going the distance, although I could see a stoppage. Definitely see a stoppage. I could see the guy getting clipped, hurt, and finished off, but I'm going to go with it by decision. And I'm going to go with Carl Froch. Bigger man, and I think he's just going to win because I think he's going to be more active. Neutral site, it's in Helsinki, Finland. These guys are kind of squabbling about where the fight was going to be held. So hopefully the judges should be neutral, and I just think Froch's work rate is going to get him the fight. So that's my pick, Carl Froch to win this by decision. And both these guys, winner and loser of this fight, both of them are in the tournament, though, along with the Andre Ward and Glenn Johnson. So looking forward to see how the matchups in the next round are kind of scheduled. I'd like to see Froch against Glenn Johnson, or no, I wouldn't, because then that'd be Abraham against Ward. I don't want to see that, because Ward will just do what Darrell did. Maybe Froch against Ward or something. I don't know. Who knows? We'll see. I mean, it doesn't matter what I want to see, because I'm not one of the matchmakers, unfortunately. But anyways, looking forward to this bout. And Froch Abraham is for a title, I believe, for the WBC title as well. Anyways, that's it for now, guys. Obviously, I want to hear your predictions on the fight. Mostly Marquez Katsidis and Froch Abraham. I'm sure all you guys are going to be watching both these events like myself. But if you only could watch one, which one would you prefer to watch? I'd probably go with the HBO card, because I think Marquez Katsidis has a chance to be one of the better fights of the year. I think Froch Abraham could be a really good fight as well. Hard to say. Looking forward to both cards, though. But if I could only watch one, I'd probably go with the HBO card. But just slightly. Fortunately, like I said, I could watch them both. But kind of want to hear your guys' thoughts. Which fight are you looking most forward to this weekend? That's it for now. Like I said, talked about these fights a little bit more in depth yesterday on the Science Fights Radio Show. You can go check that out. I'll put a link in the information part of the video as usual, as well as a link to my Twitter. And of course, I'll be talking about these fights afterwards, next Sunday, after everything shakes out and we see how the results are. So check that out as well. And until then, guys, have a good Thanksgiving if you celebrate. And until next time, I'm out.